Imagine you want to conduct a research trial in a paddock. You identify that a trial investigating nitrogen rate response in wheat is of high interest in our region. You decide to use Scepter and Caliber varieties and 7 rates of nitrogen to apply in crop. You'll need to have replications. At Hart, 3 is a good amount, as it fits within our trial site. What happens if you sow your seed and some seeds don't germinate? How do you account for that? And do you need to sow different amounts of seed depending on what crop or variety you're using? Now, to explain how much seed we're going to need to put into this orange bag, I need to explain a process that we call germination testing. For each crop and variety, we need to know the percentage of seed that germinates. We aren't able to test the entire bag, so instead, we take a small sample to test, 100 seeds. If 3 seeds out of 100 don't germinate, we say 97 have germinated. When we've worked out the percentage of seed that doesn't germinate, we can make sure that when we're putting seed into those orange bags, we can put in extra to accommodate for the amount that we assume won't germinate. So how do we do a germination test? I'm going to show you. We start by taking the seed and variety of choice. Here we're using canola and the variety is blazer. We pour some seed into the top of this machine. We call it the seed counter. No guesses why. It counts seeds. We need it to count out 100 seeds. You might think it's easy to count out 100 seeds, but if we have 100 varieties across multiple crop types, that's a lot of counting. This machine gives us the number of seeds we want and then we weigh them. Make sure you've tared your scales. We take a sheet of paper towel and put it in a white tray and we water the paper. We take our 100 seeds, which we now know the weight of, and pour them onto the white tray and make sure they're spread out. Then we add another sheet of paper towel and water again. We write the name of the crop, variety and date onto a plastic bag and store that white tray away in the dark to germinate. A few days later, we collect the tray and see that the seeds have germinated. But has all of it? We need to search through the germinated seed to find any seeds that haven't germinated. We count all the non-germinated seeds and work out the percentage of germination. 3 non-germinated seeds means 97% have germinated. Now we know our germination percentage, we can start seed packing. Seed packing starts by setting up our rods. This contraption holds all of our orange bags for one trial. This is what it will eventually look like after we've packed our seed. We print stickers for every plot in the trial. It helps us identify what's inside each bag. Each sticker has the trial name, row, bay, and replicate number, and what variety the crop is. We need to sticker every single bag. Now we get our grain. We pour some from this big bag into an ice cream container, which makes it easier to use. We set up our scales and make sure we know how much grain we're weighing out. This grain is treated with a fungicide. You can tell because it's pink instead of golden. That means we need to wear gloves. It's pretty straightforward. We pour the grain into the container on the scales and then make sure the weight is right. And then we pour the grain into the orange bag. Even though the bay, row, and rep could change, the crop and variety doesn't change. We can weigh out all the bags of a certain crop and variety to the same weight. We can spend multiple days packing one trial depending on size, and even weeks packing all of our trial seed. Now that our seed is packed, it's time to start seeding. This is the plot seeder. It's a knife point press wheel setup pulled by a tractor with a GPS steering. Someone rides on the back of the seeder and does the tripping. We'll come back to that soon. The yellow bar on the side is how the person on the back knows when to trip. It shows us where we are in the plot to ensure we release the seed in the correct spot. You can see here what has and hasn't been sown by the way the ground and the stubble look. Remember how we were packing seed into the orange bags and threading them onto the poles? This is why. The bags are packed in order of the trial, so that when the tractor is driving along the road, it can do a full trial length, even though there's different crops and varieties throughout the trial. It's always important that we check our packing order against our site map to ensure all of our bags have been put in order correctly. The bags are packed like this: bay 1, row 1, bay 2, row 1, bay 3, row 1. And then the tractor does a U-turn and goes back the other way. Bay 3, row 2, bay 2, row 2, bay 1, row 2, and follows that pattern all the way down the trial. The orange bags are pulled off the pole and the tops ripped open. The bag is then tipped into the cone like this. The next part is called tripping. It's where the cone is lifted upwards and the seed for that particular plot is released down the cone, through the seeder tubes and into the ground. When the cone is dropped, seed can't get through to the tubes, which stops the seed being released. And that is the process of seeding. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've learned something about seeding trial plots.